I'm gonna get better at this, I promise. But I was editing my video in my closet because I was cleaning my closet and I realized I didn't make an intro. So here's the intro. It's your girl Lyric. She's back with another video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. A little disclaimer for this video: I am not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatric person. I'm not a psychiatrist. I cannot mentally diagnose you. I have no degree. Anything that I told you in this video is informational, and I have information on my anxiety and my depression. I'm just being transparent and letting you guys know I cannot diagnose you. This video is not for you to go self-diagnose yourself either. So just remember, I am not a psychologist, psychiatrist, any of that stuff. But I hope you guys enjoy the video. It's your girl Lyric back with another video. In today's video, I'm actually gonna be doing a series about my depression. I'm gonna explain what depression is, because some people don't know. I'm gonna explain what I deal with and like when I kind of figured it all out. So let's get into it. So first, let's start with what depression is. Depression isn't, or the depression I deal with is not an emotion. It's a physical state of mind that impairs anything I do. It makes me not able to do normal day activities. It's not an emotion. A lot of people think that, oh, depressed is just being really, really sad. And sure, yes, some people can be depressed because they're really, really sad. But that's not the type of depression that I deal with. And there are 4 types of depression that I'm going to tell you guys about. There's clinical depression, which is a mental disorder characterized by persisting depressed mood, or loss of interest in activities. And clinical depression happens over years and years and years and years of time. It's being depressed for longer than a year, being depressed longer than 2 years, being depressed longer than 3 years, being depressed longer than 4 years. And clinical depression can last a lifetime. And I have been diagnosed with clinical depression, so I do live with clinical depression. There's also persistent depressive disorder, which is low mood occurring for at least 2 years, with 2 years of just regular depression. So there is this thing, that's what a lot of people like to call situational depression. You would go under the category of persistent depressive disorder if it's happened over 2 years. If not, you're just in situational depression, which is also a thing. You can get depressed because of a situation, but that's like a different type of depression. There's also bipolar 2 disorder, which is I also have bipolar 2 disorder. It does not mean I'm bipolar, but it does mean that I have bipolar tendencies characterized by depressive and hypomaniac episodes. No, I'm not crazy, but that's just basically saying bipolar 2 disorder is basically just saying that my depression can make me swing into different moods. That's really all it is. But they're not like random moods. They make me swing from one depressed state to another depressed state. And that I was also diagnosed with. I will tell you guys more when I get deeper into the series. And it's crazy because nobody actually knew that I was diagnosed with anything. I didn't really tell anybody because, like I said, this makes me really shy. Like this, dealing with all of this makes me so shy and so nervous, and I don't know, but I finally was just like, hey, let me open up and tell my story, because there's someone out here like me who is so scared and so shy. So let me give them hope and tell them they're not alone. I also deal with anxiety. And anxiety is normal. Like, it's normal to get anxious in situations like public speaking or an essay or something, talking in front of people. That's normal. But the anxiety that I deal with is it stops me from being able to do things in my daily life. So I overthink everything. I overthink waking up in the morning. It's just really being so worried all the time that it consumes you, and it interferes with anything that you can do. So it interferes with your daily life. And the way that you know So, like, I'm not going to say if you have anxiety, you have an anxiety disorder. But there's, like, some indicators that let you know that you have anxiety disorder. And I am not a psychologist or a psychiatric person. So don't quote me on this. Don't take this and go diagnose yourself. Go get this diagnosis for yourself. I'm just letting you know what I know because of the diagnosis I got. Anxiety. Oh yeah. So I have panic attacks because of my anxiety. And it makes it hard to breathe, and I can't. So there's people who I've seen like be like, oh my god, my anxiety is acting me up so bad right now on Instagram. When my anxiety goes into full effect, I can't function. Like, I just lay here and I have panic attacks. I can't breathe. I'm overthinking. I really have to calm myself down. And I'm telling you guys all this just because I want to be as transparent as possible with my story and with what's going on with me. There's a lot of things that trigger. I have traumatic anxiety and depression. I also have situational anxiety and depression. So that's crazier. But I've been through a lot of traumas. Sorry, I have like notes so that I don't rant too long. So I've been through a lot of traumatic experiences that trigger my anxiety. Which is pretty normal. You could say it's PTSD, really. Post-traumatic stress disorder. So I do have that as well, but from all the trauma that's happened in my life, and I will talk about all of my traumas in a different video. But I do, and there are some things that trigger my anxiety. And so anything that's like aggressive, I get super nervous. Anything that's like combative, I get super nervous. I'm not really one to argue because my anxiety gets so high, so I try to like contain as much as I can. So if I don't have to argue with somebody, I won't. If I don't have to be in confrontation, I will avoid confrontation. Not that I'm scary, and not that, I won't stick up for myself, but if I can avoid it at all costs to protect my anxiety and my energy, that is so important. When you have depression, anxiety, you need to protect your energy. You need to protect your energy so much. You need nothing but positivity flowing through your body, because the ounce of negativity can trigger my depression. It can trigger my anxiety. So really just, I'm not one to argue because of my anxiety. I'm not one to argue because I don't like y'all. When I tell y'all I don't like confrontation, I just don't like confrontation, and that's really all I can say on that one. There's also situational anxiety, which I said is just not knowing the outcome of a situation makes me overthink so much. Or like when you talk to me, you have to tell me, like I have to know why, like I will ask why, and it can seem so annoying, but it's like, for me, for my anxiety to calm down, I have to know certain things. Like I have to know what the answer to certain things so I can control my anxiety, which is not good, because you can't, like my boyfriend always tells me, you can't expect the world to like desensitize for you. So I'm gonna tell you guys the ways that I work on that, but I'm just being like very open and honest right now. My anxiety and depression work hand in hand. My depression can trigger my anxiety, just like my anxiety can trigger my depression. So that's why I say it's so important to protect your energy. If you think you suffer from depression, if you have anxiety, if you protect your energy at all costs. I cannot stress that enough. Protect your energy at all costs. Surround yourself with people who will bring the best out of you when you can't bring the best out of yourself, because it is so hard to wake up every morning and not want to do anything. So to have negative people or negative energy around you is just really gonna kill that depression. But so that's a little backstory of my depression, of the depression I have, my anxiety. So let me get into like when I found out about my depression and anxiety. It's always been there. I've always felt like this, but I kind of wanted to figure out kind of what it was when I turned 16. So I had my first suicidal thought at 16 years old. And I became very infatuated with the thought of me not being alive. And that's kind of when I knew something's wrong. Like, something has to be wrong. Like, what is wrong with me? But I wouldn't really talk about it with anybody because I felt really awkward. It's like, how do I go tell my friends that, you know, I didn't want people to go be like, go send me to a mental institution. It's like, I'm not crazy. There's just something going on in my head, right? So I became infatuated at death at 16. And I wouldn't say like, oh, I was trying to kill myself, but I was just thinking like, oh, if I wasn't here, who would miss me? Does anybody love me? And I would go to sleep late night just constantly thinking like, what if I die right now? What if I died in my sleep? Like, oh my, what are different ways that people kill themselves? And so that's kind of when I was just like, okay, you know, that's when that thought popped into my head. I was like, whoa, I've never thought that before. Like, something must be wrong. But I didn't really do too much of it because I was really busy. Like, I kept myself really busy from the thoughts. So I didn't have time to, like, focus in on the thoughts. So I would just try to keep my mind off of it. So I played lots of sports, always at my friend's house. Like, I kept myself busy to kind of, like, run from it. Which, hindsight, I would say don't run from it. Accept it and then try your best to go get help or talk to somebody. But that's not what I did. I was gonna be so mad if that thing ruined my video. Anyways, so I would try to do things to get my mind off of it. So then I got a boyfriend just because I wanted to get my mind off of it. Late night talks, I needed those because like at night I would just lay there and just be like, think about all the ways to kill myself. So it's just like, let me go try to get a boyfriend and make it better. PSA, don't try to get a boyfriend to make it better. It doesn't, okay? Just throwing that out there. Like, don't try to find your happiness in someone else because that was the worst. Just don't do it. But still at 16, I really just kept myself busy, played sports, lived in my friend's house. You know, did whatever to keep my mind off of it. So let's jump to 17. 17, I got pregnant, and it made my depression even worse. I'm not sure if because, like, when you're pregnant, you already have hormones that make you imbalanced on top of the depression I already had that I was unaware of. So there's, like, I had my good days, but at nights, the thoughts still never went away. Like, so for a whole year now, I've been having, like, weird suicidal thoughts. Not acting on them, but just thinking about them and not talking to anybody, not saying anything because I'm too nervous and I'm too scared to tell people, right? So 17 is finally the first time I ever Googled depression. Just had to see if maybe that's what it was, right? So I looked up things about pregnancy and all that. So I just wrote it off as pregnancy depression because that's a thing. Like, you could be depressed while carrying a child because of all the hormones. So I was like, okay, it will go away. Mistake number one. I should have known. This is all hindsight thinking, but I should have known because I've been having these thoughts since 16. Like, something, I need to go figure out what's going on in my head, right? That wasn't my moves. I was still in school, trying to hide a pregnancy, trying to work, like really just keeping myself busy again to not think about my thoughts. But the thoughts still never went away. I would still go to sleep thinking like, wow, what would it be like to die? And it's crazy because people are like, well, Lyric, you had a baby. Like, why wouldn't you want to live for your baby? And it's not that I didn't want to live for my baby. It's not that at all. It's just, that's what depression is. And I have to live with it. I lived through it. It's going to happen. But I conquer it. So I'm learning, like, this is my journey telling you guys how I conquer depression. Because I don't suffer from depression anymore. I live with it. And so, sorry, I'm reading my notes so I don't write. And so even though, like, I was pregnant, I still felt so alone. Because when you're depressed, you feel so alone. You feel like nobody loves you. You feel like, you just feel really, really alone. So there's nights that I went to sleep and I felt so alone. And those are too many nights to count. And I would just stay up Googling depression. Do I have depression? But I was so in denial because it wasn't talked about. So I didn't know if it was okay to have depression. I didn't know who to talk about my depression. But 17, when I was pregnant, it was really hard to be hormonal and then have depression. So I would say talk to somebody if you're pregnant with depression. Really talk to somebody. It's not all bad. I don't want you to think there were super bad days and there was all bad days, because there wasn't. There were great days, but you have to understand that you can be happy and depressed. Just because you're happy doesn't make you not depressed. It just makes you happy and depressed, because depression is a state of mind. So I was happy, but I just wasn't able to do things that I could normally do because of my depression. And so I get so nervous. Sorry, my anxiety just kicked in because I get nervous talking to you guys. But I don't want to edit me getting nervous out, because I just want to be real transparent. I want you guys to see really what it is. But yeah, so 17 is when I kind of wanted to get to know more. What is this? What am I dealing with? How do I deal with it? What are ways to cope with it? And believe it or not, I didn't quite get through it at 17, but this video is getting too long, so I'm gonna make another video on 18 and 19, and then another video on 19, 20, another video on 21 in California and 21 in Maryland to now. So that's just kind of gonna be the series. You're gonna get my depression from 16 to now, but you're gonna get it 2 years every time, in 2 years. And honestly, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Nothing really happened 16, 17, but things begin to happen 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Things began to progress so big. And on this journey, when you guys watch this series, I want you guys to realize why it's important to talk to somebody sooner than later. Because if I talk to somebody sooner, a lot of things that happened 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, they wouldn't have happened. But I appreciate you guys, and thank you guys for watching. Please stay tuned for the next episode to this series.